Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. Welcome to Hedge Witch and the Art of Hedge Riding. Very pleased to have created another book. I think we're at book 31. I think that's what this one is. My first book for Phoenix Flames Publishing, but my 31st book. So today we're going to chat about Hedge Witchcraft and Hedge Witch Riding. So if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments and we'll see where they take us. Good evening, Luna J. And if you are there, just say hello as well, because, manners. I like to be polite. But if you've got any questions about it as we go through, I'll chat through the subject of the book. I will talk through hedge witchcraft, hedge riding, what it is, how you do it, bits and pieces, just to give you a taster. But if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments and we'll see where we go. Good evening, Otika, sorry. Good evening, Amanda. My teeth aren't working today. Good evening, Mandy. Welcome, welcome. Very excited for this. It is a subject that I work with a lot. It is part of the pathway that I identify with, along with kitchen witchcraft. Good evening, Fika with Vicky. Fika. Vicky, I'm never very sure. But if anybody hasn't seen them yet, do hop on over to Fika with Vicky's page. She has some fantastic interviews. Do have a look. Good morning, Sephora. I have no idea what time it is in New Zealand for you, Sephora. Good day, Jolly Good Jewwitch, love the name. Good evening, Catnip. Lots of lovely familiar faces, lots of new faces too. So, subject, Hedge Witch and the Art of Hedge Riding. The books are being sent out now. I know some of you that pre-ordered have got them. If you have pre-ordered signed copies from me, they will be going out beginning of next week. If you ordered the Hedge Witch Hoard, they will be going out beginning of next week as well, winging their way to you. Still time. If you want to order a signed copy, take a look at my website. You'll find the link to the Kitchen Witch online shop and you can order signed copies from there. If you want to order direct from the publisher, that would be Phoenix Flames. You can order direct from their website. Let's get that up there. phoenixflames.co.uk/publishing. You can order wherever you are in the world for that. You can order from the usual places, Amazon. If you want to order from America, you can order from Amazon US, but you can also order direct from the Awareness shop as well, because they're stocking it. So lots of places to get it from. Sephora, very respectable ATM. Nice. Sensible time. Good evening, Ness. Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. So lots to cover today, so I will crack on. I've got a bit of show and tell as well, so we'll see where we go with it. Let's move this keyboard out of the way because I don't need that. So for those that don't know, I am a pagan witch. I'm an English pagan witch. I have been walking the pagan witchcraft pathway for well over 30 years now. I will co-run the online Kitchen Witch School of Witchcraft with the lovely Ness and Heather. I do talks at pagan events. I have lots of books published. Thank you. Very grateful for that. We do lots of online talks and events and things as well. So fingers in all sorts of witchcraft pies. I identify really now as a kitchen stroke hedge witch, although my journey did start in Wicca. So I've dipped in and out of all sorts of different bits like most people have. My journey has not been a straight one. But I love to learn and I continue to learn. So it's all good fun. Good evening, David. Washing just finished. Perfect timing. Perfect. You are a domestic god. Good evening, Karen. Good evening, Xenia. Oh dear, on the big screen. Oh, I know about that. A bit late in the day for being on the big screen. So Hedge Witchcraft, let's start. The interesting thing is the name, Hedge Witch. I kind of assumed that how I thought of it, everyone else did. So when I was writing the book, I just put the question out there onto good old social media to see what everyone thought. And I was quite surprised with the results. Good evening, Trudy. Good evening, Heather. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. For me, Hedge Witch means that you walk between the worlds. You have one foot in this reality and another over the hedge in the other worlds. But it seems more recently that the title, the name, Hedge Witch, has come to refer to just a solitary witch, someone walking the solitary path. So it's not my place to judge or to decide what you call yourself. But for me, the key is in the hedge part of the name. Good evening, Rosemary. This is my suggestion, only my suggestion, of what Hedge Witch covers. So it is practiced by solitary witches, as a lot of the pathways are. So yes, I do have new glasses, thank you. Stronger ones so that I can see out. Hedge Witch will definitely work with the other world. For me, that's the key. Spirit work, shamanic type practices, riding the hedge, basically. A hedge witch does work with plants and nature. So there's a lot of working and connecting with plants and natures, as most witches do. I think the hedge witch pathway is very reminiscent of the ancient art that the cunning folk used, the wise men and wise women who lived on the outskirts of society. A hedge witch will work with magic intertwined into their daily life and the mundane chores, as a kitchen witch does too. Works with herbal world for remedies, for spell working, same as a kitchen witch. Will work with the spirit of the land, as most witches do. Connects with the spirit of the plants, connects with the spirit of the animals. Two things that hedge witch really does. Very important. Keeping the magical practice simple and uncomplicated. Hedge witch and kitchen witch both do that. Living and working in tune with nature and her seasons. A hedge witch will definitely have seer abilities. They will have the ability to see into the other worlds and use those shamanic practices and seer or Sith practices. That is a key thing. And whilst the term hedge witch does seem to be a modern one, the practice it covers is very, very old. Xenia says, yes, hedge witch as a shamanic way. There's a huge amount of shamanic practice within hedge witchcraft. Good evening, Susan. Good evening, Chris. Good evening, good evening. So what I actually did was look at some etymology, because I wanted to know where the idea of this term had come from. There is a suggestion that the term hedge rider derives from a Saxon word, and I am going to pronounce it terribly badly, so I apologise now. Heightessa. The idea being that the cunning folk lived on the outskirts of the town, literally on the other side of the hedge, between the towns and the wilderness. This also being represented by the cunning folk being able to walk between the worlds, so riding the hedge to the other world. Those two things I think are really important. I did a bit of research on the etymology of it further on from that. So the suggestion that Heightessa means hedge rider can be found on various internet searches, but they all seem to stem back to the books by Ray Beth. And they were some of the first books that I read. Brilliant books. But it seems that this thread runs back to her books, and I couldn't really find the idea that hedge rider was any older than that. I'm happy to be stood corrected. The Old English word Heightess seems to mean witch, sorceress, enchantress, or what we often see as the shortened version of hag. Let's embrace that hag, shall we? In Dutch, hex, and in German, hex, both mean witch. The Old English word for hedge was, and again, bad pronunciations, hek or haga. And in Dutch, it would be heg. What here you're finding is very similar. In Old Norse, we find the word tundrider, and the Old German again, pronunciation, Zunritter, both translate to hedge rider, which was used to refer to witches but also to ghosts. It is suggested that the original term that I came across, the Haigtesser, could have referred at one time to those people that gave prophecies, so the ones that had auricular powers. Later on, it would have covered village wise women in general, probably, where the whole hag connection comes in, I think. Interestingly, it is a feminine version of the word with seemingly no masculine version, but I do believe there were male cunning folk. The term hagger also refers to the hawthorn tree, which is interesting because that's one of the main trees that you find in English hedgerows. In the 1500s, though, it seems that the poor old hedge was thought of very badly, and it represented a place for, and I quote, vagabonds to shelter or resort. And so to suggest someone was a hedge anything was actually quite an insult. It suggested that they carried out their trade under a hedge because they were poor and of lower class. Not a compliment. Definitely not a compliment. But it does seem that the term may have roots in history after all, but with slightly different meanings depending on which time period you look at, with variations in meaning from hedge rider, witch, soothsayer, hag, healer, herbalist, and of course, one who has foot in both this world and the other world. And in Norse, the term Haigtesser is sometimes used as an alternative term for the Norns, the three goddesses of fate. It was an interesting journey that I took when I was following it, but hedge riding is very shamanic and it incorporates the art of Seder, Seath, seership, which is from Old Norse. The word Seder translates to mean cord, string, or snare. It actually describes a form of magic and shamanic practice that involves working with the structure of fate to bring about changes. To do this, the practitioner uses a ritual stick or a spindle to weave their goal by entering a trance state and interacting with the other worlds. So there's a lot of connection there, shamanic practices, Seder practices, seership, all variations on different words. But it was an interesting journey. But as always, call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. Good evening, Karen. So let's have a look at the hedge, because that's the base for being a hedge witch. It is the base for hedge riding. Why use the word hedge? Because it's a liminal space. It is a boundary. It is an in-between region. It is between places, so it becomes a liminal space. In fields, you'll find hedges marking the boundaries between other fields, between trackways, between woodlands. For the hedge witch, the hedge is a boundary between our world and the other worlds. It is a liminal space that leads into those other realms. There are plenty of liminal spaces. There are those in between, not just physical spaces, but spiritual places and between worlds. One of my favourites is the shore, where the ocean meets the land. But doorways, gateways, they're all liminal spaces as well. If you are familiar with the Labyrinth film, and of course you are, all of the goblins stand in the doorways in the house because they're gates, they're portals, they're in-between places where the other worlds meet our world. Trees are very, very familiar symbol for stepping into the other worlds, particularly Yggdrasil, the world tree, the cosmic tree. They're portals. They are places where you can step through to the other world, and that's what the hedge does. They provide that connection, I suppose, is a better word of looking at it. Tree in particular is important, I think, because it provides a recognisable image that we can all relate to. So the branches stretch up to the skies, that is the upper world. The trunk is the middle world. And the earth and the roots stretch down into the underworld. It is a clear symbol to work with for the three other worlds. We'll get onto those in a bit. Good evening, Ivy. I think it's important to note that hedge riding is not just meditation. It is much, much deeper than that. It is more like trance work, more like shamanic work. It enables you to walk between the worlds, to do what you need to do in another state of mind. It is not the same experience as meditation. It is more trance. And trance is actually described as, and I will read the dictionary meaning because I love looking up things in the dictionary, a half-conscious state characterized by an absence of response to external stimuli, typically as induced by hypnosis or entered by a medium. Sometimes you may have a very deep experience, but most of the time you will be aware what's going on about you. You don't actually lose consciousness. You don't speak in different tongues. You don't host another spirit in your body. But for the purpose of hedge riding, you are in that other realm. You are in that other world, and you are able to interact with whatever or whoever you meet while you're there. It takes time, effort, patience, and practice. You need to hone your skills to be able to hedge ride. It is not something recommended for those beginning on your spiritual or your witchcraft pathway. You need to have proper experience of meditation and journeying and pathworking before you attempt hedge riding. When you do, you will find out how amazing it is. But it takes time to learn it and time to practice with it. You need to be in complete control with this type of work. If you are on any kind of medication for mental health issues or recreational drugs, I would advise not doing it because it can take you to other places. It does take you to other places. So let's have a look at the three worlds I mentioned with the tree. These are the three worlds that I am most familiar with hedge riding into. They are the underworld, which is the roots. They are the underworld. They are hell, tin and og. Whatever culture you work with, there will be some form of the underworld. It is the place that I tend to find myself in most often out of the three worlds. It is the lower world. It is not a deep, dark, fiery pit of hell. It really isn't. It is perhaps darker than the middle world, definitely darker than the upper world. It is more primordial, is a better way to describe it. Sometimes it's a cave when I visit, sometimes it's a primordial jungle. There are dangers there, as there are when you cross into any of the other worlds. But the underworld is earthy, it's stable, it's grounding. It is the base from which our world grows. The underworld deals with our emotions, our intuition, and our very basic needs. You might meet ancestors here. You'll definitely meet animal guides, guardians. The plant spirits are all down here. There are underworld deities. The fairy realm are all found in the underworld as well. If you are very experienced at hedge riding or shamanic work, this is where shamanic work on soul retrieval is done as well. So while it is underworld, which sometimes sounds a bit scary, there's a lot going on there. It is the place where I find myself most because I work with animal and plant spirits, and that's where you'll find them. Then you have the middle world, Midgard, basically where we are. It is sometimes a place where you can time travel as well, but it's very much like our own world. You will find buildings, houses, cities, pretty much what you see when you are out and about in our reality, you will find in the middle world. It's still got bad spirits in it, as most places do, so you still have to be wary. You will find earth and fertility deities here. You will find the elementals, land guardian spirits, messenger deities, nature spirits. This is where the wild hunt resides. I don't often visit the middle world, I must admit. It is often a place where you meet past and future selves, and sometimes your ancestors as well. Not a place that I visit regularly, but I have done on occasion. But it is visually, I have found it to be very much the same as our world here. And then you have the upper world, Avalon, Asgard, whatever you want to call it. It is stunning. I do visit here quite a lot as well. Spirits live here. It is beautiful. Landscapes, clouds, sparkling streams, all the amazing stuff. This is the place to meet and greet with spirit guides, angels if you work with them, ascended masters, not an area that I work with particularly. Divas you will find here, deity, and this is where I generally go to meet deity. You'll also find some of the animal guides are up here as well. It is the upper astral plane. It is the spiritual plane. It is a place of enlightenment. This world will show you knowledge, inspiration, ideas, wisdom. It's also somewhere that I tend to go if I'm looking for healing of any kind as well. 3 very different places, but all over the hedge, all other worlds, and each of them will provide different things. Zephora mentioned fungi to enter trance, psychedelics. We will go into those in a minute. Some shamanic practitioners do work with it. I don't, but we will come to that in a minute, Zephora. So as I mentioned the 3 worlds, I'd like to mention the 9 worlds. I don't work with the north side of things, but if you do, Norse cosmology has the world tree, the Iskadril. It's an ash tree, and it has 9 worlds. So if you do work with the north side of things, you can hedge ride to the 9 different worlds. There's a whole host of them. I do write a bit more about them in the book. I won't go into them today because we'll run out of time. But if that is the area that you work with, then you can do hedge riding into the 9 worlds as well. So let us look properly into the other world. Let us leap over the hedge. Hannah says, can you get to these worlds through meditation as well as shamanic journeying? You can, but it won't be such a deep experience. I've always been far more successful hedge riding rather than meditating. Meditating is fine for scratching the surface. Journeying, shamanic journeying, hedge riding, you do definitely go to these other realms. You don't just go around the edges. Let's get some of these up. So, Xenia, do you distinguish the underworld from the lower world, or is it the same? Same for me. I work with just the 3. So the underworld and the lower world, same things for me. But, you know, these are my personal experiences. So they might be different for you than they are for me. But for me, there are those 3 worlds. So they're the same for me. But it is different, Hannah. Meditation and hedge riding / shamanic journeying, very different. I think you can only properly connect with the beings in the other worlds through journeying, through hedge riding, through shamanic journeying. Meditation for me doesn't go deep enough. But I'm not here to judge. So hedge riding is the term given for stepping into the other realms from this world. It can be done in various ways. I stress again, it's not just meditating. You have to go into that deeper trance to cross the boundary. You may enter the unknown, the unfamiliar, the wild, the different places, different times, definitely other realms. You might meet animal spirits, you might meet plant spirits, you might meet deities. If you work with the Fey world, you might meet those as well. Are there any dangers for hedge riding? Yes, but not if you're sensible. It's not a practice to work with just because you're bored or because you want to take a relaxing meditation. Doesn't work like that. This is serious work, and it does require dedication, and it does require experience. You need to know what you're doing. You need to know how to deal with any issues that you might come across. It's not an adventure for the novice. Don't hedge ride if you're feeling ill or angry. Don't go in unprepared. I usually only hedge ride when I have a reason to do so. It can give you insight. It can give you guidance into an issue, a problem, or help with a decision. But it also has that shamanic side to it where you can seek out the spirit of a plant or an animal to help provide you with healing, wisdom, whatever it is you need. Coming out of hedge riding abruptly or before you've finished can leave you feeling really, really ill. So always ground yourself afterwards, always have an escape route, always know what you're doing with this. Be prepared, basically. So how'd you get there? So Hannah mentioned, I think it was Hannah, no, sorry, Sephora mentioned psychedelics, hallucinogens, drugs, alcohol. Some folk do use hallucinogenic drugs or mushrooms or herbals or whatever you want to call them, or even alcohol to enter that trance state. I personally would not advise doing so because you lose control. For me, the big part of this in keeping safe and keeping you protected is having control. If you are using hallucinogenics or drugs or alcohol to get that trance state, then you've thrown away your control over it. So that for me is a bit of a no-no, but again, I'm not going to judge. You need, I think, your subconscious mind to lead you when you're hedge riding. You also need your conscious mind to be in control. If they're working together, you're safe. But I don't judge, so there you go. Sephora, how do you hedge ride in a busy household? I take myself away somewhere very quiet and shut the door with strict instructions not to be disturbed. You do need peace and quiet, absolutely. Let's get these up. So, is hedge riding related to astral projection? Astral projection, you are leaving your body, your spirit leaves your body and wanders off to other people's dreams, other places. You can wander into other realms. I think there's a similarity, but it is a different kind of practice. It is a different way of doing things, definitely. David, always have an aftercare plan. I find something like small ritual to bring you back completely. Yes, yeah, absolutely. I feel that's a must for me. I'll talk about rituals in a second as well. Senya, thank you for pointing out having control. Yeah, it's an absolute must for me. Rosemary, if you're having trouble meditation, will you be able to hedge ride? If you haven't mastered meditation, then you are going to struggle with anything further than that because it does go an awful lot deeper. So it does take practice. It does take experience with it. But there are various ways. We're going to cover some various ways. You don't need any special or magical tools. You don't need to set up an altar. You don't need to dress in anything particular unless you want to. Sometimes I find that key items, clothing, paraphernalia can help, but it isn't necessary. I don't always cast a circle or perform a ritual because my home is protected, and if I'm out in nature, the gods are looking after me. But you can do that if you want to, and more details on that are in the book. Sephora says, do you use a grounding item? Yes, we'll come on to those. We will come on to those in a sec. So how to get into it. So there are various things you can do. I don't necessarily wear anything fancy or specific. I want to be comfortable. I do have a shawl that I work with. That's my journey shawl that I wear. I wrap it around my shoulders, specifically for when I meditate, journey, or hedge ride. More importantly, I use a journey pouch. This is a key item for me. We'll have a look inside it in a second. There are details in the book about it. But there are various things you can do to get yourself into that trance state. Rattles and drums work really well. It is the rhythm of the trance state. They can help clear away negative energies to begin with. They can help call in spirit guides, and they can help you get into that trance state with the rhythm of that drum. So if that works for you, brilliant. Flying ointments, and I do talk about those in the book as well. They did actually exist. They were usually made from all sorts of nasty and fairly lethal ingredients, such as deadly nightshade and foxglove. Personally, I would avoid those ones. Not worth taking the chance. You can make your own ointment with an incense-type blend of herbs and natural items that correspond to connecting with the spirit world, the other world, and to help increase your psychic abilities. I have included some suggestions in the book. Rocking backwards and forwards you get a rhythm, a motion going. That action of rocking backwards and forwards on my squeaky chair, don't do it on a squeaky chair, that'll put you off. But it can help you relax and it can help you enter a trance state. Be careful that you're in a safe space and you don't rock yourself so that you fall off the chair. That's not good. You could have a Troy stone. If you're not familiar with Troy stones, they are little pieces of wood, ceramic or clay that have a maze or a labyrinth, and you literally put it on your lap and you follow it round with your finger. It takes a bit of practice to get concentration and focus with a Troy stone, but that does work quite well as well. Journey beads are very good. Similar in the idea of rosary beads. So you hold the string of beads and you pass each bead slowly through your fingers. You can count them, you can chant with the beads. It's another repetition. It's another way of getting a rhythm so that you get yourself into that trance state. I've got several sets of mala beads that I use that work quite well. Chanting is good. Your repetition, again, it is a lyrical way of sending yourself into trance, repeating a phrase or a sentence. Music works as well. You can do with that as well. And liminal spaces. So if you are in a safe place, I reiterate safe place, you can sit quietly outside in a liminal space. Sit on the beach at the edge of the water. Sit beneath a hedge in that actual liminal space to take yourself over there. But just be mindful that you're safe. Sephora, do you use a grounding item, a special item like an emergency exit? I have my stang, and we're going to get on to stangs in just a second. Karen, I use a blanket and a pouch, and I love the drums. Perfect. David, find a physical exercise is a very good way to cross. Yoga can do that. Oddly so can running, though that can be very dangerous. Running would be very dangerous for hedge riding anyway. You need to be in control of where you are. So if you're out running, you don't want to send yourself in a trance while you're out running. That would be very dangerous. But yoga is quite a repetitive, it's got a spiritual side to it, yoga as well, hasn't it? So what works for you, basically. That's just some ideas. One of the things that I do and the way that I generally work with hedge riding to get there is called treading the mill. So think, this is the thing that always enters my head, Pirates of the Caribbean, where the donkey is going around the treadmill, is going around the big millstone. That is treading the mill. Basically, you're the donkey going round and round in a circle. It is treading the mill. It is a technique used in traditional witchcraft, and it literally does what it says on the tin. You have a fixed point in the centre, usually a stang or a staff, and you walk round it. You walk round in a circle. You tread round a circle. It is the physical movement of walking in a circle, but you keep your eyes focused on the central point. This helps you to put you in the state of mind that you need to ride the hedge. It can also be used to raise energy if you need it for the purpose of spellcasting. It's a nice practice to use. Can be done inside or outside, doesn't matter. You just need the space to be able to walk around your central object. Obviously, you're outside. It's easier to stick the stang or the staff in the ground, but it gives you that focus. Usually this is preceded by hallowing your compass first, which is calling in the four quarters in a slightly different way than you're probably used to, but it's an interesting way to work with it. All these details are in the book. I am literally skirting around the edges because there's so much to cover, but it is a fascinating way to do it, and this is generally how I do. If you don't have a stang or a staff, you could use a wand. You could use a besom. In fact, any object that you can place in the centre will work really well. Sephora, sounds like what you see in sweat lodges of Native American Indians. Sweat lodges work very well to take you into trance. Yeah, absolutely. But not my comfort zone. I do not want to be hot and sweaty. Thank you. Hannah, I go into really deep daydreams and often wonder, have I crossed into a trance? Is this possible? It is possible. The thing is, you need to have control of it. To go over into the hedge is, you need a purpose. If you're just daydreaming, and even if you go quite deep, you may well cross over into the other worlds. But with hedge riding, you are controlling it and you are doing it for a purpose, which is the difference with it, really. Okay, David thinks of Conan at the beginning of the film Conan the Barbarian when thinking of walking the mill. Love it. Xenia, techno music style trance. Yes, it's being called this for a reason. Absolutely, because it's a very monotonous. It is that beat. It's that repetitive beat that takes you off into trance. Yes, absolutely do what works for you. So for treading the mill, you would put your stang or your staff. I've got a stang here. I've got several different staffs, but stang works really well. This one for me has got a really strong masculine energy. It represents the horned god. It works really well for me. You begin by walking in a circle. You keep your eyes set on the central point, but your face and your body carry on in the direction that you're walking. So your head is going to be turned to the side as you're walking. Keep your pace slow and you keep it steady to begin with. You do find that you quicken up. This is where you can add in your chant. You can add in rhythm, you can add in music, you can add in drumming, up to you. But as you walk round, you keep your eyes focused on the central point and the energy builds and you will naturally begin to enter a trance state. You will feel relaxed, you'll feel focused. Keep your senses open. Anything, sight, sound, taste, anything that will come your way. But know that ultimately you are always in control. You might find you continue to tread them when you continue to tread the mill that you've actually come to a stop at some point and haven't noticed that you've done it. You might find that once you enter into the other world that you've actually sat down. There's no right or wrong. It's just about different ways of getting to that destination. Once you begin to become aware of your surroundings again, you'll find you naturally come back and the journey comes to a natural end. You do need to give yourself a few minutes to come back to it. I advise eating and drinking something and definitely don't drive straight afterwards. Each journey will be different. Each journey will take different lengths of times. Sometimes you might not even get to the other side. It is a bit of trial and error at first. Once you've got the hang of treading the mill, it is possible to step into the other world in a simpler method. Still using your stang or your staff, but quite often where I'm used to it, I will hold the staff in both hands while I'm sitting on the floor and literally just put the stang on my forehead, and that connection will take me through. Because I work with the elder mother quite a lot. Now, the elder mother or the elder grandmother is queen of the hedges. Anyone that knows tree lore will know that elder trees have an elder mother, an elder grandmother. And quite often I work with her when I step over the hedge. So we'll get onto that again in a second. Need more coffee. Not at this time of the night. So let's have a look at the stang and the staff. So I have got this is my stang, obviously. I like to work with this physical item because it gives a central point, but it's also a natural item. So it's got the magic of the tree with it as well, and it represents the world tree. Stang is the one with two prongs. It's the meeting of two worlds. It is two energies. It is the masculine and the feminine. But I've also used staff. I've got a couple of staffs that I'm trying desperately not to throw on the floor. This is my main staff. This one has been to all sorts of wonderful places with me. Stonehenge and Knowlton and Avebury. Beautiful hand-carved one. And I also have, let's put that there without it all crashing to the ground. I also have my oak staff, which has got my name and oak leaves on it. This is a hefty old beastie. They both work for hedge riding. but I prefer the stang. It's lighter, it's easier, it's got that duality. The oak staff's fighting back. It works best for me. But as I say, you can use your besom, you can use your wand. It's entirely up to you. Hannah, are the colours significant when you see them during hedge riding? Yes. Everything you see, everything you hear, everything you notice will be significant. Keep a journal. Take a note of everything. Yes, absolutely. So the actual term stang derives from Old Norse, and it means strong or strain, which means pole. It's easy enough. Does what it says on the tin, really. It can be used for directing energy. It can be used just as you use a wand. But I like it because it represents the world tree. It represents the other worlds. It works for me. But besom may work for you better or equally as well. The besom is a wooden handle with the twigs. So you've got the wood, you've got the tree connection. It is a symbol of flying over the hedge, obviously, so crossing into the other worlds. So works perfectly as well. Whatever works for you. From Sephora. This might sound weird to anyone who's not menopaused. What happens if you fall asleep? Now, I often fall asleep, coming to the end of the menopause, hopefully. I often fall asleep when I am meditating. I have never fallen asleep when I've been hedge riding. It is a different experience that requires your focus and your control. So whilst, yes, I fall asleep quite a lot when I'm meditating, not when I'm hedge riding, because it's a different kind of focus to it. Yes, Maria, the stang, the staff, the besom gives you that focal point to be able to tread the mill, to go round and round in circles. Now, the other thing that is quite important, I am rushing, I realise, but there's so much to go through. I want to give you as much information as possible. Then you can go and buy the book, obviously. So I have a journey bag. It is literally, it's a fat quarter of material, basically. Quite a lot of hedge witches will have them. Shamanic practitioners often have journey bags as well. It is for keeping your magical items in that help you to travel to the other world. Every bag will be personal, and it will be specific to each individual. It may be a bag. Mine is a fat quarter. Mine is a piece of fabric. If you go to a fabric shop and ask for fat quarters, they're about 55 centimetres square. You can get them in all sorts of funky materials. The girls and I all use them, actually. We've all got one that we do our readings on. Heather throws her bones on hers. Ness throws her runes on them. I've got one that I use for my tarot cards, but I've also got a piece that I use for my journey bag. Ness has got one that she keeps all of her crow travel items in as well. But it is literally a piece of fabric, so I will unroll the piece of fabric when I'm about to journey. And inside are all sorts of wonderful things. Now, these wonderful things change. They're not the same all of the time. Some things have been in there forever. Other things come in and out depending on what journey I'm doing. Because the journeys for hedge riding will have a focus, they will have a purpose. So I might put something in specific for that one journey. But there are a few things that are kind of there most of the time. I have a little dragon representation because I work with dragon energy. I have some crystals. I've got blue lace agate for communication. I have selenite for divine connection. I have smoky quartz for protection. I've got a piece of sea glass for emotions, dealing with emotions. I have a little pentacle to represent the elements. I have a piece of fluorite for otherworld connection. I have a magpie feather because I work with magpie as well, and they are very magical otherworldly creatures. I have a couple of bits that are from my ancestors. So I have my grandmother's brooch and my great-grandfather's RAF badge, so that it gives me that ancestor connection. I've got a hagstone to represent the Kalach because she is my deity, my goddess. I have a little bracelet with my wild boar on. Although, interestingly, the wild boar is my main guide. He's my spirit guide that's been with me for years. He never comes into the other worlds with me. I'm met by Black Panther when I'm in the other worlds. The boar doesn't like going there. I've got some herbs. I've got star anise because that helps with psychic connection. I have some hedgerow pieces. I have hawthorn. I have rowan. I have a piece of elder to make that connection with the plant spirits of the hedgerow. And I have a button because the button opens doorways to portals. Sometimes it changes, sometimes it doesn't. I have a brooch that represents Avalon, which is one of the other worlds. It changes. But I will have that journey bag open in front of me. Sometimes I will pick up objects and hold them specifically when I'm journeying. They give me that connection. They give me that key, that help to go across the hedge to the other side. Hannah, is there a time you shouldn't hedge ride, such as feeling anxious or not in the right state of mind? Never when you're feeling those. Never cross into the hedge when you are tired, angry, ill. You need to have control of your faculties to be able to hedge ride. Jane, how often do you cross the hedge? Now, it would depend. I said earlier, I do not cross the hedge just because I want to meditate or because I'm bored. I go with a purpose. So if I've got a big decision to make, if I've got some healing to do, if I have got something that needs sorting. I mean, this is bringing out the big guns. This is for the important stuff. So it will depend. I don't do it every day. Sometimes I don't even do it every week. Sometimes a month will go by where if I haven't done it, because it's for specific important things, because it's a big thing to do. I don't want to put anybody off, because once you've done it, you will realise how amazing it is. You just need to have a bit of experience and be prepared with it, really. But a journey bag is a really good idea to have. Offerings are good. You know, you're all used to working with deities, spell work. You give an offering as thanks, and it's exactly the same for when you visit the other world. Don't forget to leave an offering. I mentioned the Elder Mother. One of the trees that you will often find in the English hedgerow is the elder. It carries a very long and fascinating history. It is, for me, one of the key trees to work with when you are hedge riding. But you need to make a connection with the Elder Mother first, because she is a feisty one. She can kick your butt without even batting an eyelid. There is a huge amount of folklore that tells you must seek permission from the Elder Mother before you even touch an elder tree, let alone pick its elderberries or its flowers. She is very, very important in the hedge world. You need to ask her permission. So what I actually do now, if I'm not treading the mill, if I'm feeling in that space, in fact, quite a lot when I do tread the mill, the next step I take is to ask permission from the Elder Mother. I like to maintain a connection with her. I like to maintain manners with her. And I will ask for her permission before I enter the hedge into the other worlds. Literally just, Elder Mother, I ask permission to cross the boundary. Please allow me to jump the hedge to the other worlds. Then I wait for her answer. Sometimes she refuses. If she does, I thank her, leave it, and know that it isn't the right time to do it. If she grants me access, then I thank her and I go across. I think she's quite a key for me, one of the plant spirit energies that's quite important. Hannah, don't apologise for asking questions. You ask as many questions as you want. That's what I'm here for. Never apologise for asking questions. David, do you feel there are better times of the year, day, month? It's one of those questions, isn't it, that comes up quite a lot, where the veil between the worlds is thinnest at certain times of the year. If you are experienced in it, then no, I don't feel there is. I go when I need to go. So if you are experienced, then it's going to happen if it's supposed to happen. But that's, my experience. That doesn't make it right or wrong. Now, there are lots of spirits you are going to meet. There are many different forms of spirits. I am not talking about what a psychic medium does. This isn't knocking on the table 3 times. I am a trained psychic medium. I'm not taking the mickey, but it's not that. It's not what a medium does. It is different to that. Although, just to be complicated, some hedge witches like myself do work with mediumship, but that also requires training. For me, it's very much a part of animism. So animism is believing that there is energy in all things. So that comes into it, whether it is a pebble or an animal or a plant. And all of the plants and all the trees have spirits. All of the animals have spirits. And you will find all of those over the hedge. Do remember that spirits in the other world may not have the same idea that we do about morals or etiquette, much the same as the Fey world, which is also over in the other world. They might not act or react in the same way we would, and neither should they need to, because they don't follow our rules. There are spirits of place. There are animal spirits, plant spirits, nature spirits, spirits of place. There are land rights. There are all of these different kinds of guardians and spirits and energies that you will find in the other worlds. There are things like the fetch. A little bit more complicated. It's an Irish folklore term, and it means a spirit guide, which can be in the form of a person or an animal. There are varying beliefs about the fetch. There are also, bad pronunciation, Filgia, which is the Norse tradition, and it means pretty much the same as a fetch, a spirit, person or animal who accompanies someone in connection with their fate or fortune. So there's a lot of different words describing the same sort of thing. There's a lot more detail in the book about them, but you may find all or any of these spirits in various forms in the other world. You may also connect with ancestors. And I don't necessarily mean blood ancestors. It may be ancestors of the land, ancestors of generations before us. There are all different levels of ancestors. So you might meet some of those as well. You may meet the fair folk, the elven kind, the world of fairy. That's all over in the other world. I don't go into that in the book because it's not an area I generally work with, but they are over in the other worlds. You may meet deity of all kinds. It might just be something more generic, like the horned god or the green man, Mother Earth, Father Sky. It may be specific deities, but sometimes you'll find them over in the other world as well, if that's who you're meant to meet. Someone mentioned ritual earlier. There are a lot of hedge witches that will work a full ritual to do their hedge riding in, and that works as well. Absolutely does. There's a couple of questions here and here. Do you feel that hedge riding can reconnect you on your path if you are feeling a disconnect? It can do, but it's probably not something that I would use for that. If you are feeling disconnected from your path, then you're usually a little bit out of practice, and hedge riding is not the thing I would advise to do. Hedge riding is for decisions and directions, but with that disconnect, you're a little bit out of connection, literally, and hedge riding is probably not the right thing to do for that. Karen, the elder mother is one of my guardians, so I always have a representation of her with me. Perfect. Myself and the girls do work with Elder quite a lot. She is a feisty old bin. But when it comes to ritual, if you are familiar with the more Wiccan style ritual that most of us do work with, then you can do that and do your hedge riding in the centre of the ritual, doing the usual casting the circle, calling in the quarters. I do include a structure for that in the book. I like to work with the hallowing the compass because for me it ties in more with treading the mill. It's more traditional witchcraft. It seems to work better for me. So the idea of the hallowing the compass uses the bases of a circle, similar to casting the circle, But you are casting the circle and quarter calling combined in the idea of a compass. The compass being the protective circle, the boundary between the worlds, creating your own liminal space. And with that, you bring in elements and you use your stang again. You don't need anything physical, but I like to use that. I put the stang in the middle of the center, in the middle of the space that I want to cast the circle, and you are creating a portal. You are creating a sacred space, a liminal space between the worlds, which is what you are doing when you are casting the circle anyway. I tend to cast a circle by chanting, but I will use the stang. So we put the stang in the center and turn to cast the circle. But I also call in the quarters at the same time. And what you can actually do is, if you're outside, you can draw it on the floor with your stang or your staff, and you draw lines. And you go from each compass point and you draw a line round and back to the centre of the circle. I do include all the details in the book, but you can find it if you're looking for it. It is hallowing the compass. It kind of combines the circle casting and the elements all together. What I would suggest before you do this kind of practice is get to know the elements first. Do a meditation first to meet each element and find the connections there. But you start by marking each compass point. You start in north, place the staff upright in the ground in the north of your compass circle, walk back to the centre, face your staff, see and feel the energy of that element. Then you walk to your staff, take it in your hand, use it to draw the circle round to the next compass point, and you keep going round until you've hallowed the compass. It sounds complicated. It is straightforward. It's just that we're running out of time desperately. But hallowing the compass, definitely experience to try if you haven't, just in ritual, whether you're going to hedge ride or not. Hallowing the compass is fascinating to work with as a way of casting your circle. It works really well. The other thing I would suggest is to find yourself a hedge riding guardian. Find yourself a spirit guardian that will come on your journeys to the other worlds with you. They will provide you with support and guidance each time you step into the other realms. You can do this. You can do this by meditation beforehand, just to meet your guide that's going to come with you. Or you might find that your guide will meet you the first time that you step over the hedge, and then it will be there waiting for you on all your subsequent visits. They will be familiar with the territory and they will be able to guide you through it. The question, Jane says, would you use mugwort to help you cross? Mugwort is brilliant because it has that otherworldly, cleansing, protective, spiritual connection. I do include a list of herbs and crystals and items that you can use in the book. I also include some herbal teas if you want to drink herbal tea beforehand. I include a whole chapter on flying ointment and various other options that you can use that won't kill you. There are oils, there are balms, there are incenses that you can work with to create your own very safe flying ointment, but that will help as well. Maria, isn't hedge riding separate from any path you're on? I've never attempted it, don't think so anyway, but it's always felt like a separate thing to me. It is a shamanic type of journeying. So it doesn't actually matter what faith or religion or pathway you follow. I am a hedge witch, but I'm also a kitchen witch because witchcraft is my pathway. I am a pagan hedge witch, kitchen witch, because that's my religion. I'm a hedge witch because I ride the hedge. So no, you don't have to be on any particular path to work with hedge riding. It is a fascinating way to journey. As I say, it's much, much deeper than meditation. It is hardcore stuff for getting answers, making decisions, for healing. There are various different ways to get there. There are various things to do while you're there. there are various things that can help you, and I do include all of those details in the books. But as always, I'm always here if you struggle with anything, or if you've got any questions that you think about afterwards that you didn't think to ask, message me and I will be happy to answer any questions about them. I did do a fairly basic talk on it that's over on my YouTube channel as well if you want to look up the details. But Hedge Witch and the Art of Hedge Riding is out now. It's got all the details that you need to know, the hows, the whys, the wherefores. I don't mean to scare anybody off. I hope I haven't scared people. It is a commitment to make, but once you've done it, it is a fascinating journey to work with, absolutely fascinating, and you will make all kinds of discoveries. It is an amazing thing to do. But signed copies available from the online Kitchen Witch School shop, all the usual places stocking it, Amazon, etc. The Awareness shop in America are stocking it as well. If you want to get it direct from the publishers, then Phoenix Flames Publishing have it as well. Zephora, does the book cover what to do if it goes wrong? This is about being sensible. Yes, it does cover things that you can do, and it is the only real things that can go wrong are that you come out of it too quickly or abruptly, and in that case it gives you solutions on what to do, basic stuff, grounding, resting, all that kind of stuff. It is about paying attention. It is about having a guide with you who can help you if you get into sticky stuff. It is just about being sensible, but yes. And of course, I'm here if anyone needs to ask any questions afterwards, or if anything goes wrong, just let me know and I'll do whatever I can to help. So there you go, Hedge Riding and the Art of Hedge Riding, condensed incredibly into a very, very, very quick 1 hour. I have no idea how and why that went so quickly. Perhaps because we're in the other worlds. That's what it is. I hope it has been interesting. I hope you have enjoyed it. As I say, any questions, you know where I am. If you think of anything, just message me. Otherwise, I do hope you enjoy the book, and definitely something to investigate if you are interested, if I piqued your interest. So thank you everyone for joining me. Absolutely fantastic to see so many people here this evening. Really, really do appreciate all of your continued support. Wouldn't be here without you guys. So thank you everyone. Some of you have got the books already. I'm a little bit jealous. My copies don't come till Monday. But enjoy. Take care everyone. And I'll see you over the hedge.